All right. Okay, so what are we going to do in this lesson? We're going to wrap up all of our trigonometry. But one of the things we haven't done yet is we've used sine, cosine, and tangent to find missing sides. Today we are going to use what's called the sine inverse, cosine inverse, or tangent inverse when we have to find an angle measure. Okay? So let's first. So if we're trying to isolate an angle measure, so it's saying tangent of A is equal to this decimal. Okay. We have something called tangent inverse. Tangent inverse looks like tangent, but it has a little -1. So if I do that on both sides, basically the tangent and the tangent inverse cancel each other. This is kind of like, you know, when you have, let's say, 3/4 x equals 12, and we would say, oh, what's the multiplicative inverse? What would we do to multiply?
So you just multiply.
You would multiply this by 4/3 on both sides.
Are you just multiplying?
Right? So it's the same idea. We take tangent inverse of both sides, and that's going to isolate.
Is that multiplying?
It's not multiplying because it's a function. Yes. So now what we're going to do, when we go to the trig buttons, you want to select the tangent inverse button. So it's the one that's just right below it. And then we're going to type in, what was the decimal point? 864? 864. And we're going to round these to the nearest 1/10 of a degree, right? So that would be 40.8. All right. Same thing for B. It says cosine of A equals 0.825. So if I take the cosine inverse of both sides, I'm going to get A by itself. Now, I'm going to tell you, we don't need to do this every single time. I'm just trying to show you that the only way to get rid of the cosine is to take the cosine inverse.
So you don't use that word.
You don't have to show that work. All right. So I'm going to type in cosine inverse 0.825, 34.4. Love, what's going on? Do you have your notes? You're good. Okay, great. So there's no such thing as dividing by sign. It's not like I could divide by, it's like saying, can I divide by an exponent? No, I can't divide by an exponent. This is a function. So the only way to get rid of the sign is to do the sine inverse. Okay.
So you just literally just put
You
whatever
literally
numbers there and
move it to the other side. When we move it to the other side, we make it a sine inverse of that.
So you just do sine inverse number.
Yeah. Anytime we're looking for an angle measure, what happens when we do sine inverse of 0.5? 30. It comes out exact, doesn't it? And the last one here, we want to take tangent inverse of 1.6.
58.
1.6. 58. Good. Okay, so we are going to use a trig ratio, sine, cosine, or tangent, to find the angle to the nearest 1/10 of degree. Okay, so
So we're going to have to do the...
I'm going to have to figure out opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse. What do we have? Since I'm trying to find A, I'm going to circle A. Because I want to look at what two sides am I given with respect to that angle. What is 8? Opposite. And what is 10? Adjacent. Okay, by doing that, we're going to figure out which one are we going to use. Sine, cosine, we're going to use tangent. Again, I will give you this information on the test. Okay? Yeah, I don't know what the hypotenuse is here, right?
So is it 8 over 10?
So it's going to be tangent of A, because that's what I'm looking for, equals 8 over 10. Now, I could reduce that, but I really don't care. You don't need to reduce. I want to isolate A, so I'm going to move the tangent over to the other side, and when I do that, it becomes tangent inverse.
Wait.
So I'm just looking at the formula. Tangent of A, I put the opposite side over the adjacent side. And then to isolate A,
How'd you isolate?
so remember in the beginning, I would do, how do I get rid of tangent?
38. Well,
I take tangent inverse of both sides so that they cancel each other out. But again, that's that optional step. If you want to put that in there because that makes sense, go for it. So I want tangent inverse 8 divided by 10. 38 point, if it's 6.5, we want 38.7. Okay, all right. I'm going to circle angle A. Again, it looks like we have the opposite and the adjacent side.
So it'd be another tangent.
So it's going to be another tangent of A.
It'd be 17 over 20.
Good, 17 over 20, because it's always the opposite over the adjacent. Now what? We got to get rid of the tangent, so we're going to take tangent inverse. What do we get? 40.4. Perfect. 40.4 degrees. Good. So it all comes back to these same formulas. It's just if you're trying to find an angle measure, you're going to use that little -1 option. Okay. I just kind of put the steps down here. What we're going to do is we are going to solve triangles, right triangles. But that just means we have to find any kind of missing measure. So what I think we'll do, let's just review real quickly. How do we find all the angle measures in a triangle? What do all three have to add up to? 180. And if it's a right triangle, then the two smaller angles have to add up to 90. We still need Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to use capital letters for all the angles, and then we're going to use lowercase letters for the sides. So for example, in this one, capital J is here. So lowercase j is 25, right? And capital H is here. So lowercase h is here. Okay, so when it says solve each right triangle, that means I have to find anything that's missing here.
So G.
So I'm looking for angle G, I'm looking for side G, and I'm looking for angle H. I don't know. Okay, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. What do you mean? I'm just labeling. So like I'm using capital letters for the angles, lowercase letters are used for the sides opposite those angles. So they match. Yeah, so like G, G, J, J, H, H. Well, the capital letters are the angles. The lowercase letters are the side lengths. Okay? Okay. So, step 1. Identify or circle the acute angle you want to work with. So, I can start with G or H. Do we have do we want to work with G? Okay, the problem with G is that I don't know angle G and I don't know side G. So let's pick something different. Or if we know two sides of a triangle, can we find the third side? Pythagorean theorem? Okay. So why don't we do G squared plus 16 squared equals 25 squared. So if I have two sides, I can find the third side by doing Pythagorean theorem. So this is something we've been doing over and over again. g squared plus, that'll be 256. 25 squared is 625. Okay, now we're going to subtract 256. What did it come out to? 369. And then we want to take the square root. And what did we get? Sorry, I don't have the 19.2. Excellent. Yeah, so I'm going to put lowercase g here is 19.2. And I can also like label the picture. So we got this as 19.2. Okay, now what can we do? Now we can work with angle G or H. It doesn't matter. G. Okay. So I can use sine, cosine, or tangent here. I can use any one of these. Why? Because I know the hypotenuse, I know the adjacent side, and I know the opposite side, right? So I can use any one of these. Can you see that?
So if you did tangent with the opposite side G, lowercase g.
Yeah, so if I do sine of G,
No, tangent.
oh, tangent, sorry, yeah. We could do tangent. If I do tangent of G, opposite would be 19.2, and adjacent would be 16.
So do we do the
We're going to do tangent. So G is tangent inverse. I promise the last step is the easiest one. 50.2? Yeah. Usually the setup is fine. So this is, bless you. Bless you. Okay, so if G is 50.2 degrees, how do I find angle H? What do we know about the angles in a triangle? They all add up to 180. And if this one's 90, then these two have to add up to 90. So to find H, I can just do 90 minus 50.2, which turns out to be 39.8. We got two more examples. Okay. We should be able to get a good start on homework. Okay. So in this one, the angles and the sides are already labeled except for little z, so I'm just going to label that. What do you think?
You should start with y.
You don't know why? You want to start with y?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay,
So
we could do that.
60.
So if I'm going to use 60 degrees and I have to use the hypotenuse because that's this. So what would y be? Little y. So according to this angle. But is this opposite adjacent? This is opposite. Okay. I have to use sine here. Do you see why I can't use tangent? Because opposite and adjacent, I have two unknowns. So I have to go with sine. Yeah, Minnie, you had a question? Yeah. So sine of 60 equals what over what? Y over 4. Oh, this is what we did yesterday. Because when we have the angle measure, we can just cross multiply. So I'll get y equals 4 times sine of 60.
Wait, is this the one that you rounded to the nearest 10?
Yeah, we're going to round to the nearest 10th here. 3.5?
Yeah.
Okay.
But now we found the opposite, so we can now find the.
Yeah,
We can find use tangent to find the adjacent.
yeah, we could do that. We could do tangent. So tangent of 60 would be opposite over adjacent. And we just found out y was 3.5. So we could do 3.5 over x. So here's the thing. What makes these tricky is there's so many different options to solving. We could have used sine here, or we could have used cosine here. We could have used Pythagorean theorem. Okay. Wait, what?
No, that's correct. Is it? No, I found a really small number.
Let's see. So it's going to be 3.5 divided by tangent 60. Did you remember when the
I
x?
did tangent divided, but it's.
Oh, you did it backwards. Okay, 3.5 divided by tangent 60, 2.0. Okay. Last one is actually the easiest one, the one that we didn't do yet, is angle x. If this is 60, how many degrees does this one have to be? 30, right? Remember, all three angles will have to add up to 180, and it's a 30, 60, 90. Love, what are we doing over there? Okay. Last one. Okay. I don't know angles D and E, and I don't know side D.
But if we do side D, we know the hypotenuse and the adjacent.
Oh, so what do you want to do first? Do you want to do one of the angles or the third side? D, Pythagorean theorem?
No.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
You want to do Pythagorean theorem? So D squared plus 12 squared equals 14 squared. On above?
Yeah.
Okay. What do we get? 196 minus 144? 52. Is that what you got? 52? No?
Oh, 196 minus 144.
Yeah?
Never mind. I mixed up.
52. 7.2.
I didn't swear.
Okay. All right. Now, I can find angle D or E next. It doesn't matter. Just pick one. D. Okay. Now, I can use sine, cosine, or tangent. It doesn't matter because now I know this is 7.2. So, pick one of them. Pick tangent, pick cosine. It doesn't matter. You want to do cosine? Again, it doesn't matter if you have all three sides. You can use any, if you have all three sides, you can use any one of those three trig ratios. So cosine of D would be adjacent over hypotenuse. Right? This is adjacent, this is hypotenuse. So D is cosine inverse of 12 over 14. So what do we get? So 31? Okay, if angle D is 31, angle E is going to be 90 minus 31. 59.